and Indiana in the Morning is presented by First Commonwealth Bank on WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. You can call Bob Pollock right now, 479-1160, 349-WCCS. Ask him your questions about lawns, gardens, and growing seasons and things of that nature. And Bob, right away I want to tell you, Lisa Spencer was on the air with us the other day from the Department of Human Services. She was talking about a program that they're going to have next month at Blue Spruce, I believe it is, and she was talking about what she said was the green lantern fly, which I assume is the spotted lantern fly that she's talking about. Yeah, but that'll be a topic, invasive pests like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And she said,
the spotted lanternfly. Let's go with that.
She said that she read somewhere that the spotted lanternfly is going to be really, really devastating this year.
In certain places.
Yes.
Because it's not been found here yet.
Good.
But the anticipation is, or the thought is, that it will move.
It'll make its way.
So it started way over in the very eastern part of Pennsylvania couple years ago, and it was localized there, very localized, but it has continued to spread through multiple counties. So the radar gets bigger on it, and because of its, people can move it. That's so because of all the transportation systems, from individual cars and trucks and trains and all those.
They'll hitch a ride.
They can, the adults can hitch a ride, the nymphs can hitch a ride, even egg masses in the fall, late summer, fall egg masses can be laid on all kind of, campers and firewood and vehicles, and they can get on the undercarriage of a vehicle and go for a ride. So I think the concern is that because of all those mechanisms and ways it can move, it's going to move, and it has been moving.
Yeah.
So
I want to get this caller in
here
because they've been waiting a little bit. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Very well.
Good.
Good. Bob, I have one quick question. I have a maple tree in the front yard, which I'm debating on cutting it down, mainly because I think it maybe is starting to rot, but I'm not 100% sure. Down by the trunk of the tree, it seems like it's wet. It's never dry. The tree itself, there is a few dead limbs on them, but I kind of like it for shade. But I cut a couple trees down a couple years ago that I kind of regret because it had nice shade on our deck, which I didn't think it was rotten when we cut it down. So I just want to be a little bit cautious and see what your opinion is. There's a little bit of green fungus on the tree, but what I'm a little bit concerned is it just seems like it's always wet by the trunk of the tree, probably 5 feet up from it.
Oh, okay. Is there a split in the trunks? Is it one single trunk, or do you have two trunks or more?
It's one single trunk.
Okay. All right, but it is a wet area, or appears to be wet, and the bark is still attached?
The bark is still attached, yes. Okay. Now, it's starting to peel a little bit, but for the most part, it's still attached.
Now, you can probe around a little bit. Yeah, usually when there's a wet spot in the bark and up that far, that can be an indication that there is decay inside. And so you can take a screwdriver and just probe around a little bit in that damp area, just to see how soft it is. Does it go in? Does it not go in? You can also take kind of a mallet, the rubber mallets.
Right.
And you can tap on the outside of the trunk to kind of get an indication of whether it's solid or if it's dead and dull sound. There can be internal decay in there. Now, the branches that you've lost or that have died, are those big main branches, or are they just little interior branches?
Little interior branches, nothing major.
Okay. Because just the orientation of the branches, the density of the tree, we can get internal branches that are just they get shaded because of all the foliage on the tree, and maples usually, many of the maples have larger leaves, and there's a lot of shade on the interior
Right.
part of the tree that will, some of those younger, smaller branches can be, there's just not enough sunlight in there, and so they'll die back.
Right. The tree, I mean, it only gets morning sun. After that, it doesn't get any sun at all.
Okay. Yeah, and that
Okay,
that will influence that. But just check that out. Keep an eye on it. And if the bark's loose, that's another indication that there is kind of what we would call a canker area there, where it's that the live part of the wood has died. So there's a live layer right underneath that outer bark, and that's the plumbing system for the tree. And then once you get on the inside of that, then we get into dead cells that become the heartwood of the tree and provide structural support. But it's that layer right underneath that bark where the water and nutrients are flowing, and that's what we need to keep alive. Now, if that's dead in just that area, that can be trimmed out. So you can take a sharp utility knife, and if that bark is mushy, then that area is dead, and you can take a sharp utility knife and cut that out kind of in a diamond shape with the points at the top and the bottom. Just trim it back until you hit good live attached wood, and that can kind of help clean up that area.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for your information.
All right. Yeah, and as long as the majority of that tree is in good shape and it leaves out, and things are functioning, that tree can live for a long time, even though it might have had some decay there. And then you just, from now into the future, just need to keep track of that, kind of keep an eye on it. And if it really gets, if it starts to get hollow or anything like that, then potentially that can be in a storm. It could be weakened there enough where it could come down.
Right. Well, that's what my concern in with the high wind and stuff. So, but thank you very much for your time, sir.
You're welcome.
All righty. It is Indiana in the Morning, 7:54. Thanks for that call. If you have another question, you have to make it pretty quick because we're 6 minutes away right now. We were talking about the lanternfly.
Yes.
The spotted lanternfly. You also had, were you looking at something else about another pest or invasive creature?
Oh, not invasive, but
okay.
I was just the weekly report. So if you grow trees or if you grow Christmas trees, there is a Pennsylvania Christmas tree scouting report that during the growing season comes out on a weekly basis.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually published by Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture and their Integrated Pest Management section. But they keep track of insect and disease activity when, based on what the plant's doing. So when we get to bud break and we start to get new needles coming out, that's when a lot of the insects and diseases will start to become an issue. We're trying to protect the new growth of the tree. So they scout, and so then they give an update on a weekly basis of some of the needle cast issues that might be coming up and where we are with that. Some of the insects like spider mites, white pine weevils, Douglas fir needle midge, spruce spider mites, all those pests that can be an issue every year.
Yeah.
And so they will scout for those, see if there's any activity.
And that's publicly accessible? People
yes,
can read that?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep, you can sign up for it as well and have it emailed directly to you.
Oh, cool.
Every week.
How do you do that? Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
What's the website people need to go to?
So if they would do a search on PA Christmas Tree Scouting Report, it should come up from there. And then Sarah Pickle from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture is actually who pulls this together and publishes it. And she, if you email Sarah Pickle, Pickel, she will add you to the newsletter list for that, the email list.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And if you run into any problems, you can give me a call or email me, and I will
just bookmark the page. You'll be able to do it.
I will get you the information you need to get signed up.
Very good.
So that was that.
Yeah.
And then in a few weeks, we have our Penn State Master Gardeners here in Indiana County are going to be having a plant sale. And that will be held as part of activities going on in Salzburg, the Canal Days.
Oh, okay.
So during that period of time, but they will be having it at the Salzburg Herbal Society, which is 105 Point Street in Salzburg. So that'll be June 1st and 2nd.
Very good.
So have an interest in that, and they say many quality plants available to attract bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. So they're specializing a little bit in that.
Yeah, we keep watching that hummingbird map. Have you seen the hummingbird map? It shows the progress of the hummingbirds as they're making their way up.
No,
Yeah.
I heard you say talk about it, but I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, it's
check
kind
that
of cool.
out.
Kind of cool. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
so
there you go.
Pretty interesting how we can map those things and make that information available. It used to be only available if you were doing the mapping or watching and observing.
The amazing world of satellite technology. That's how they're marking it. Because putting the bracelet around those tiny little ankles is really difficult on a hummingbird. Thank you, Robert. It's Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160.